Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Amati Auctions based in the UK, and we have quite an interesting auction going on today that we're going to look at briefly. This is one that I wasn't actually expecting. It kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. So this is an auction of wood for instrument making, primarily for kind of violins, cellos, violas. And yeah, this one came a bit out of the blue. So this one is Tonewood from the workshop of Florian Leonhard. And so I thought this is quite an interesting sale. So for anyone that doesn't know, Florian Leonhard is a German kind of violin expert, restorer, etc. Trained at the Mittenwald School and of violin making, and then later went on to work for the famous Hill shop in London, and now runs Florian Leonhard kind of violins, his own shop in Hampstead in London, which is quite regarded, and he himself is quite regarded as an expert. So this is quite an interesting one, that his workshop is actually selling off some wood. Now I think a lot of people were kind of slightly confused by this and thought this might be an indication that he is closing his shop down, but I think it's literally just the fact that you know, workshops over time acquire quite a lot of wood, and sometimes spaces at a premium, or sometimes you just have stuff that you don't need it really. So I think they're just trying to offload stuff. So yeah, they're selling quite a lot of wood here. So we're just going to look over this briefly and not go into it into too much detail. So there's so many items here. There's 2-day sale, so it's been up since Friday the 1st of October 2021. Day 1 was the 13th of October, so in a few days time is lots 1 to 231, and then day 2, which is Thursday the 14th of October, is lots 232 to 464. 22% buyer's fee, so obviously if you're buying outside of the UK, you know, check into all the things about postage and all of that other stuff, export fees, etc, etc. And now, without further ado, let's kind of just take a really quick brief overview. One thing to say is that I think this wood has come from a lot of different workshops. As what happens is many people sell off wood and other workshops buy it, and like they stock up, and sometimes they have more than they need. And if you look at some of these examples of wood, if we look here, you'll see that there is the mark of Hargrave. So that's Roger Hargrave, the violin maker based in Germany, like very regarded violin maker there. So obviously some wood from his workshop has somehow made it into Florian's workshop, and now that's kind of gonna make it onto someone else's workshop. And there's still wood floating about, I think, in circles from the Hill shop that closed, and shops before that, you know, and there's some wood that's kind of been passed down for a long time. So without wanting to get into it too much, I think if we did click on all the lots, we'd probably find kind of evidence of other workshops where this wood has come from. But just to give a quick overview, we'll have a quick look. So we've got a load of violin backs, more backs, more backs, more backs, more backs. Just continuing there with the violin backs, some viola backs, viola fronts, violin fronts there, scroll blocks, more kind of scroll blocks there. So it's quite a lot of stuff. More scroll blocks. There's some ribs there for violins, quite a lot. Like I said, we won't go into this in too much detail, but if we see any markings, maybe it's interesting to see. Here we have a Hargrave marking there as well, so that's some more wood that's come from the Hargrave workshop there. 4 violin backs there. Some more kind of things here. Yeah, you can see this is still, I think, more Hargrave wood, so there's quite a lot of wood. I think he had quite a lot, and I think he's been moved more into kind of retirement or slowing down recently, so I think he sold a lot of wood there. So more maple backs. It's mainly violin, viola wood so far. More violin backs there. Some of this is like very nice looking wood for sure. So definitely some interesting things if you are a maker. If you're purely interested in finished instruments, and this is definitely not the auction for you. Violin backs and a few more here. Definitely interesting to look at, but we won't go into anything too crazy. It's interesting to see some of the marks. There's some viola stuff, more Hargrave. It does look like the majority of the wood is probably from Roger Hargrave, but I think there's potentially other wood as well. More violin kind of backs. It's all quite curious there. So 10 pages of kind of almost 50 lots each, so some violin backs there, some interesting bits, all very curious. I mean, a brilliant opportunity if you are a maker to pick up some interesting wood with provenance even, you know, it's gone through some fine workshops really, so it's definitely interesting. Here's some more fronts here. You can see some of the markings on some of these fronts. Still see some Hargrave markings there. Some other interesting stuff, some backs, one-piece violin backs there. Some of this stuff, you know, has high bids, some of it not so much. So here's some more scroll blocks again. 5 viola scroll blocks, yeah, a few more viola backs. Some of this wood is very beautiful, very interesting. Large viola there. Bid is £10. Some of the bids seem quite low, but I'm sure when this actually finishes in a few days that this will go very high. More rib blocks there, so it's easy as a maker to kind of store up a lot of wood and then realise that you've got too much. I mean, I don't really make very much of anything at the moment, but I still have chests full of wood when I was making guitars and things, so it's very easy to acquire this stuff. Load of ribs here, stuff for viola, rib blocks. Yeah, it's all pretty standard. This is a nice cello back actually, 120. Yeah, the wood for cellos is quite expensive. There's some different markings on this one, but I don't know how far we can zoom in, so eagle-eyed people probably recognize those marks, but it's a bit too small for me. But that looks like it's come from a different workshop there. Some more cello backs. There's potentially some more things here. It's just some random squiggles here, but yeah, interesting. A lot of different cello wood there. Cello back, and more bits of cello. Some more cello neck blocks. I said some of this stuff seems quite reasonable so far, but I am pretty certain that the wood price is gonna really rock it up. Now we're going to fingerboards and things like that, always useful. More fingerboards there. Here's some pre-cut kind of cello backs and cello fronts, so this is a bit more interesting. It's an interesting cello back here. That'd be quite an eye-catching piece. Some interesting different figure there. I quite like this. A lot of people like the traditional kind of book match flame or kind of straight flame, but I do quite like this wood that's a bit more wandering, I suppose, a bit more difficult to work and maybe not quite as stable, but definitely interesting. Here's some stuff that's started already. I mean, a lot of this wood may have come from makers who passed away or were selling up, so some of this stuff might be part way through the process of being made into something. I think later on there's some more fingerboards here. I think the last page of this auction there's a few more things that are kind of part way being made, so a load of violin backs again. I don't know if there's any more markings here. Seems to be more Hargrave wood there, so a real amount of wood. I like the classic silver line kind of rule there, like every workshop seems to have one of those. Partially made violin backs there. Always interesting. And we're on to the last page now. Just a quick overview of this auction. We don't really want to go too much into it, but I thought it would be quite nice to look at some partially made violin backs. So there's some bits there that have been started. £10 bid on that. Some nice figure on that. Some more partially made violin backs. violin fronts, some partially made scrolls there. That's always quite interesting to see. Quite useful. Blocks of maple, blocks of poplar, slab cut beech, no things on that. 2 lengths of spruce, exotic wood, bits of mahogany from a guitar, 8 pieces of ebony, partially shaped cello front. That's kind of curious. Yeah, that looks kind of interesting. Yeah, some interesting wood for sure. I think I'm going to keep an eye on this auction and see if there's anything that's not going too crazy near the end. Here's some partially made viola, cello mould, a few bridges, so definitely kind of a bit of a clear out of the workshop, and right to the end where you get 2 lengths of wood, you know, as sometimes workshops have, just random bits of wood to cut things off. So there you go. Well, yeah, this is pretty much the auction, and I just thought for historical purposes it was kind of quite good to kind of just look at this, because what was in the workshop of kind of makers, dealers, etc. is often the subject of historical discussion, I suppose, especially if you're talking about like Stradivari or any of the other kind of fine makers. It's always curious to know what they had in their workshop. So this is a rare opportunity, really, via Amati Auctions to have a look at some of the Tonewood that has come from the workshop of Florian Leonhard. Obviously, I'm sure they're keeping the best stuff in-house, but yeah, just a good chance to have a quick overview of that. So once again, thanks for watching, and if you're interested in looking at this auction, you've still got a few days left to go to bid, and I'll put the link in description. And until next time, ciao for now. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.